Going to adjust a few things here to see what we got. I like that. Okay. Hi, you guys. Kristen here, and I am really excited to talk to you guys about this topic today because it is something that has been very, very prevalent in my life. It's something that I have done for as long as I can possibly remember. And it is something that I think is really important on the path to reclaiming our personal power, because this is all an energetic based thing. And you guys will hear me talk about energy a lot on my channel. And I talk about attracting and creating healthy relationships. So the attraction part of that is that part of this really has to do with what we are drawing to us. And as recovering people pleasers, when we're just people pleasers, we are at a certain type of vibration that attracts to us a vibrational match of people that are not going to treat us well, because we are making everything about everybody else. Good morning, little iodine. Hello, hello. We are making everything about everybody else, and they want everything to be about them. So we are a direct vibrational match to those people. That's why I talk a lot about attraction here, because I want people to understand that the level that we are attracting people to us is really, really super important to understand, because everything is energy. Everything is energy. And you guys will hear me say that so much. So the reason why I wanted to do this in long form, in live form, is because I have a lot that I want to cover. So anybody that's new here, please understand that I am going to I'm smelling something. Someone's trimming grass somewhere, I think. Sorry, I digress. So I'm going to cover everything about this. Like, if you have ever had any questions regarding the law of attraction, I am hoping that by the end of this live stream, that is typically, they're like 40 to 60 minutes by the time I get all my points out, that you are going to have a better understanding of the law of attraction. Plus, I'm going to include some special tips from a master manifestor, me, because I'm going to share with you some stories of how I manifested things, some on purpose, some not on purpose. Because when I first heard about the law of attraction, okay, that was a while ago. But prior to hearing about the law of attraction, I noticed how things would show up in my life. And I noticed that there were certain things that I was doing that was allowing those things to show up in my life. And I'm going to share those stories with you throughout this talk today. So I just want to say welcome to everybody who's here live so far. Hello, hello. I want to encourage all of you to put something in the chat if you have a question. If you're like, wow, that hits home, give me a thumbs up. You know, that type of interaction is what I really super love. So I just want to dive in, you guys, all right? So I'm going to start from the top, which I just talked about, which everything is energy. Everything is energy. And we attract people and things to us that are a vibrational match to us. Now, there's all kinds of quantum physics research that has supported this on a level that I can't speak of, because I'm not that person. I'm not a quantum physicist. But I will tell you in very, very layman terms that the smallest particle of energy, I think, is a molecule. Forgive me if I'm wrong. But even smaller than that is what's called a quark. And a quark, you know, molecule still is matter, but when you go into the quark form, that is a waveform. And that waveform, we are able to affect how that affects things into matter. Now, that is the way layman's version of this, you guys. That is not my thing. So, the most important thing that I want to start off with is that for everybody to understand that the universe is abundant. Okay, it is abundant. There is no lack of resources. There is no lack of people. There is no lack of jobs. There is no lack of money. There is no lack of health. Nor is there, like a specific number that only people can have. Like, only 100,000 people can be millionaires. That's absolutely not true. Anybody could be a millionaire. 8 billion, 7 point something billion people on this planet could be a millionaire if they wanted to be. But not everybody wants the same things, okay? So we're thinking, oh my gosh, well, everybody wants to be a millionaire. Do they? Think about some people out there in the world. Do they really want to be a millionaire if that's what they're thinking about? I mean, I never thought about being a millionaire until later in life. Like, it wasn't a thing. I remember saying when my first job, which was not my first job, my first career, which was doing hair. I did hair for 30 years, loved every minute of it. It was the best career I could have had until I just decided that, oh God, I got some weird hair going here. That I just decided that I was, done with it. It was time to move on and to release that to the next generation that came after me. Now I forgot where I was going. Oh, and I remember thinking in the beginning of that, like, I want to do hair. I want to be highly successful. I want to attract the most amazing people to me. I don't want my work to feel like work. I want it to be play. And I remember monetarily thinking, I just want to be comfortable. And I thought that was, at that time, I thought that was being humble. But really, that was playing small. I know that now, because at that time, guess what I got? I got all of those things, you guys. All of those things. And I even had it in my mind that I wanted to own a brick and mortar salon at some point. Now, here's what's fascinating about this, is because I didn't know about law of attraction. And sometimes I think when we don't know much about it, it actually works for us because we don't trip ourselves up. We just have this goal in mind. We just head towards this goal. Next thing you know, the goal manifests in our life, and we don't really think anything of it. We don't see the miracle or the magic that actually happened behind the scenes. But what happened is I ended up attracting a business to me, I guess I could call it, or a career clientele that looked like this. I, at some point in my clientele, was booked for 6 weeks solid, which means nobody could get in. There was no spaces opening for 6 weeks solid. And every Saturday for a year was booked. Like, someone called me and said, hey, I'm new. Can I come in on a Saturday? Nope. And I had ended up having to refer so many people out because, like, even a family friend came to me and she's like, hey, can you do my hair? And I love this person. And I was like, I can't. I just have no space. I also had a 10-person wait list for a cancellation every single week. Okay, so when I tell you I was busy and I made that success, I did. I made that success. But I had put it out there, and that's where I'm headed, and I will get to how those steps play out later, like what I did that I didn't know that I was doing based on the things that I'm going to list to you guys. All right, so that happened, and then at some point, guess what happened with buying a salon? It just was in my mind at some point. I'd like to buy a salon at some point. Guess what happened, you guys? Next thing you know, some lady bought our salon. I had the first owners that hired me. Then some lady bought the salon, and no, I'm sorry. I think it was another coworker of ours bought the salon, and then some rando lady bought the salon, and she was not doing a very good job. And I actually started looking. She wasn't a hairdresser, so she didn't understand the way the whole thing worked, and so I actually started looking for another job. I was looking everywhere, and everybody was like, oh, I hate this situation too. Take me with me, take me with you, take me with you. So I'd go to other salons and be like, hey, you got space for 8 of us? I mean, there was going to be a mass exodus on this place because this woman, she wasn't mean or anything. She just didn't know what she was doing, and it was making our jobs harder. So what ended up happening is someone said to me at some point, they go, well, Kristen, someone said, why don't one of us buy it? And we're like, yeah, ha, ha, ha. And someone said, Kristen, why don't you buy it? And I was like, oh, okay. And then I asked the lady, actually, I didn't ask her, you guys are going to crack up about this. I actually walked up to her one day, I forgot her name, and I said, hey, she came in because she wasn't there very often, and I said, I'm going to buy this salon from you. I just told her. And she goes, okay. Like, she knew it too. So I forgot how much, I don't remember how the money worked out, but I remember buying it for a certain amount of money. And then I put some certain amount of money into it, and I owned the salon for a few years. I can't remember how long I owned it for, but it just kind of slid into my experience because I had put it out there. I trusted that someday it would happen. I didn't really think too much about it, and look what happened, you guys. It literally fell in my lap. And this is how the law of attraction works. But keep in mind that I didn't have any blocks to this. I wasn't like, do I know what I'm doing? Am I good enough at this? Can I handle this? Can I run a business? I didn't have any blocks because I was young. And like I said, sometimes being young and naive, it can actually work for us. So it's really important to understand that the universe is abundant, okay? Anything we could ever possibly want is out there. And I call it being held in escrow. So it's just being held out there until we decide we want it or we become a vibrational match to it. Okay, because it will not, the universe will not impose, little yard worker waving at me, cute. The universe will not impose on us. It can't, because we have free will, and God/universe will not impose on us. Okay, so I want to tell you a quick story, because this is a really good story about manifestation. This was when, for you, those of you who followed me know that me and my children basically were abandoned by my second husband, and at the time I had retired from doing hair. I'd given up all my clientele. I had no means of income. I'd done it for 19 years. I blah blah blah, long story. It's in my first book and my second book that's coming out. And we had to live with my parents for 5 years. And after my mother passed away, and then there was this huge disruption with step family, yada yada, all these things, I ended up moving into a rental. And that's when my now husband moved in with us. And I got some inheritance from my mother passing away. Oh, my dad passed away 4 months after I was in the rental too. So mom passed away in January of 2015, or I think it was like very last day. It was Super Bowl Sunday, which is weird. And my dad was 4 months later. So those two deaths combined ended up yielding me some inheritance. So I wanted to buy a house. And the house I moved out of was 5-bedroom. We all fit in there perfectly. It had, all the things that I loved, blah, blah. And I wanted to go back to that. Like, it was my goal that I wanted to have that same experience. I wanted space. I'm a person who likes space. I don't say that I want this size of house or the things I'm going to list off to you guys, because it was a superficial things. It was literally things that make me feel good. It was things that allow me to prosper and to flow into life, because I'm even claustrophobic, okay? So I like space. And I decided that I'm going to list you off exactly what I wanted, you guys. I wanted a 5-bedroom house. I wanted it in a particular zip code. I wanted it spacious. I wanted a gas range. I wanted a pool. We're in Arizona, pools are important. I didn't want a very big yard. I didn't want a very big property. I wanted it on a cul-de-sac. I wanted a gas fireplace, and I wanted a big tub, because I'm a person that likes to soak in my tub. At the time, my boyfriend, he was at the time, now he's my husband, he was, I had hired somebody to help us look, a realtor, which was a hair client of mine, a former hair client of mine. I started back doing hair again, by the way. And every night he would bring me houses, and he would go, what about this, what about this, what about this? And they were all really, really tiny. And I was like, no, I don't want that. I want this size house, da 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 da. And the certain zip code had to do with also being in a certain proximity to a school that I wanted my daughter to go in. So all of this was like really, really important to me. But here's the most important part, you guys. Never once did I question that I could have this. Never once. And this wasn't about money. This was about the belief that those particular things that I wanted were available to me somehow, some way. They were out there. And I didn't question. I had unshakable faith. And I'm going to get more into that later. So my boyfriend at the time kept bringing me these houses. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Now, mind you, as time is ticking, okay, we were at the 11th hour to move out of this rental. We had 30 days. And now we're about down to 2 weeks left. All right. Now think about this also. Buying a house requires it to go through all the processes and stuff. So even if I'd found a house at 2 weeks, what would happen? Maybe, or 3 weeks. I can't remember exact time frames, y'all. But what would happen? There's still this time wait. And then now we're going over being in the rental property. So I'm calling the owner of the rental property. I'm like, hey, is there any chance if this goes over that we could stay for a month? And he said no. Keep that in mind, okay? No, I got to rent the house again, this and that and the other. I said, okay, no problem. Again, not freaking out, not stressing, having an unshakable faith. So he's showing me houses. I got to the point where I stopped looking. I wouldn't look at anything he showed me, because he's showing me like 1,200 square foot houses and these other areas and all this stuff. And it was not what I wanted. And it was my money, my inheritance that was going down in this house. It was kind of like a reset for the kids. It was like us getting back to where we were in life, because life had thrown us this massive curveball, blah, blah, blah. So one night we're sitting there and I'm just watching TV, and he's like, what about this house? And I'm like, I literally was like, I'm not looking at any more of the houses you're showing me. I keep telling you I don't want those type of houses, and you keep showing me the same. He goes, well, you might like this one. And I leaned over and I glanced at the house on his laptop and I was like, I think that's it. So mind you, in this time, we had only gone to look at 2 houses and they were hard no's. One already had an offer of it and the other one required too much work. So we went to this house, opened the door, walked in, and I knew this is it. This is the house. So we looked at a total of 3 houses in 1 month. Now here's the part too about it going through the escrows and the things and the stuff, and I don't even know the words to all those things. And what happened is during this time, the guy, his name was Joel, who owned that rental property, and he calls me and he goes, it's so sweet, it makes me cry. You guys, I told you I'm a sap. But basically he was like, you've been such a good tenant. I know what you've been through. And because I told him that this was our healing house, you know, having gone through all that stuff, and that his property was our healing house. And he said, he goes, I'm going to give you whatever time you need to move out of this house. It's like, this is, you know, just something I really feel in my heart that I want to do. And I was like, okay. Mind you, again, you guys, I let go. I had wrapped my head around, if we move into an apartment in the meantime, if the stuff has to go into storage in the meantime, all is well. I was okay with all of that because I was not trying to control, because I had unshakable faith. I knew what the universe was capable of. I knew what God was capable of. And I had just gone through a hellish, you know, experience 5 years prior and had really, really learned to release and let go. And guess what? Everything fell into place. And guess what else? We didn't even have to stay longer than the allotted time because something happened where everything just went boop, 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 boop. And another thing I forgot to mention, that I wanted a vacant house. I didn't want to have to wait for people to move out and then shampoo carpets and do all these things. I had a vacant house. Not only that, the house was pristine. Now, it was old, okay? It had a lot of, it was 1980 something, so the fixtures and everything were old. Carpet was old, things were old. And so I knew we were going to have to redo some things, but it was pristine. It was clean. It wasn't like moving into somebody else's dirt, right? It was really clean and pristine. It was everything that I wanted. The only thing that I forgot was I like 3-car garages. Didn't ask for that. Didn't even think about it. And because I had not lived in a home of my own for so long, it just didn't even occur to me. And also, the MLS, get this, you guys, said that the school that I wanted to my daughter to go to, it was written at the bottom that this would be her high school, but we were out of boundary. So that was kind of interesting because it did say it on the MLS, this is your high school, but turned out we were out of boundary with that. It's no big deal. It's not far. We're like barely out of boundary. So anyway, this is how manifestation works. And I feel it's important to tell this story because it's a very, very powerful story. One of the biggest manifestations I've ever had, even when a clock was ticking, even when things looked like they were against us, even when the boyfriend / almost husband was giving me things that were not it, I didn't shake my faith. I didn't allow it to make me believe anything different. So which leads me to my next point, which is what's important is that we feel for inspiration and that we take baby steps in the right direction. Okay, inspiration is a very underrated tool that we can use when we are manifesting our dreams and desires, okay? I don't call them manifestations, I call them dreams and desires. They're not manifestations until they happen. Then you have manifested this thing. So what we're really looking at is what we want. It's what we want to experience in life, okay? So I knew that I wanted to experience the experience of this house, that I wanted to get back into that type of house. So that's exactly what I wanted. So the baby steps in the right direction. So first of all, I got really quiet within, and this is one of the things that is very, very helpful on this path, is that we get quiet within and we connect with our God self, our higher self, the stream of consciousness that we are always connected to. We are never separated from God, you guys. It's not even a thing. We are actually divine sparks of God. We're just in a human body. All right. So this stream of consciousness is always, always there. The only time it's not there, it is there, but it's actually covered up is when we're in fear. And fear, what does fear do? It makes us control. So you're going to hear me talk a lot about surrender and letting go, because that's a large, large, large part of manifesting, is being able to surrender and let go, even when it appears the stakes are high. which is another thing I did when I was going to a court battle with my second husband, my tsunami husband. That's a whole nother story. You'll read about that in my upcoming book as well. But that's a really, really great story, because the amount of surrender that I was able to step into in a place when I had so much fear and there was so much banking on what was going to come out of this, I was just able to let go and let God, let it be what it would be. And it just went boom, 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 boom. So when I talk about inspiration, what does this mean? It means paying attention to the little nudges within. This is something that a lot of times people want to ignore. And I cannot stress this enough. This is the flashing lights, you guys. It's the disco ball. I cannot stress this enough, that baby steps in the right direction based on inspiration, which means, that sounds good. Before I got on this live today, you guys, because I had a busy morning and I was doing other things, I literally sat in my car for a few minutes and I go, do I want to do this? Not because it's anything to do with you or do I want to do this work. It was like, am I feeling inspired to get on this live right now? Because everything I do in life now is through inspiration. That is why you guys will see that I don't commit to a Monday, Thursday posting here on YouTube. I don't commit to those things because I do it through inspiration, because I know that God is guiding me on every single step I take. Am I great at this 100% of the time? No. I'm a human being. I get jacked up. Things get in my head. I have all the same things that we all do. But I do know that if I stop and I check in with myself and I say, what sounds good next, or feels good next, or has a little light, has a little spark, a little kind of excitement to it. It doesn't have to be a big excitement, okay? It's not like, yes, I want to do that. It's just getting really quiet within and saying, what sounds good next? I really want to write my newsletter today. Or I am all about a YouTube video. Or, you know what, I just need to get quiet. Because a lot of times people think that we have to do in order to have the next best step, or I'm sorry, to yield the results that we want of our dream. But what happens is that we can be working against ourselves because we're spending all this energy in the wrong area. And what that's saying is that we're trying to how our way through life. What does that mean? Howing means that we think in our limited thinking and very, 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 very minute baby brain compared to the macro computer of the universe is just what I call it. It's an undescribable level of intelligence that our tiny micro brain couldn't even possibly wrap our head around, because it is that vast and complex and whatever. It's not complex to the universe, by the way. That's what's even more easy. Interesting is it's super easy for uni. I call it uni a lot, you guys. I just make it short. So what we do is we get quiet. So if I allow myself to get quiet in those times, what happens is I'm resting my brain, I'm resting my overthinker, and I'm getting out of fear. And sometimes getting quiet and taking a step back is the very best thing we can do for inspiration. So this is about taking baby steps forward, but also allowing divine inspiration. Okay, did you guys hear that? My car just beeped. That's funny, right at this exact time. So that's a sign, all right? What I'm saying is a sign, and it's a sign to someone here that's on here right now on the live. There's a few people on here right now. One of you needs to hear that, to follow your divine inspiration and to step back from the doing and the howing, because a lot of times we think, oh, I'm going to write this book and this book is going to get me on the charts and this and that. And we're so attached to that book doing it, and the universe is going, no, honey, no, sweetheart, that's not it. But we're spending all this time over here, and the universe is going, I'm trying to do this for you, but you're focusing so much over here that you can't even hear what I'm trying to do for you over here. I just need you to meet this one person. Do you see what I'm saying? So everything we do is through inspiration. My latest book, The Recovering People Pleaser, a spiritual guide to reclaim your true value and attract the love you deserve. The subtitle of this book is similar to the subtitle of the first book. They're not the same, but they're kind of the same. So I get tripped up sometime. But that is that was all through inspiration. I felt a book brewing in me. And my husband many times like, when are you going to start the book? When are you going to start the book? I'm like, I don't know. I actually have the outline that I wrote 5 years ago for another book. And I'm not going to say what that is. Oh, yeah, right. Thank you so much. Loving this time together. So wish we could drink iced tea and sit and talk together. Thank you. I love you guys being here. You guys need to know that. You know, there's a few of you in the room right now, and I just love that you are here. And I would love if you guys like gave me a hi or let me know where you're from or whatnot, if you feel called to. If not, that's okay too. If you're not inspired to, that's okay. But if it's because of fear, then I would invite you not to be fearful about it. But I knew this book was brewing inside of me, and my husband kept saying when, or I'm sorry, I've already have an outline for another book, and that one is just sitting in my drawer. I don't know when that's going to come. This book came first, and I'm like, yep, it's there, but I wasn't inspired yet. It just wasn't, the inspiration wasn't there yet. And so January of last year, I just woke up one day and I said, it's time for me to write this book. And I didn't force it. I just wrote an outline. Just kept revisiting when I felt like it, and I think I started in March and I finished it in July. Now, moving forward with that, I'm done. This book feels great. It flew out of me like lava or vomit, but that's a terrible thing. But you get what I'm saying. It flew out of me. It was so amazing. But now I ran into publishing issues with her formatter and the people that she's using and whatnot. But here's what I'm doing. Hands off the wheel. I don't know what Uni's doing. All delays are purposeful. This is happening for a reason. So I'm like, all right. And people are like, I know it's frustrating at times, you guys. And I'm like, oh my gosh, really more of a delay. But here's what I'm thinking. All the delays I've ever had in my life were purposeful. They were exactly on time. And I know that this book is going to be published exactly when it's supposed to be published. So this is an important message because we're taking our hands off the wheel. We can't believe that we know better than the universe. We can't possibly know better because we're one little tiny mind. And we have something like 60,000 thoughts a day. And those thoughts are on repeat. Okay, they repeat over and over and over again. Like 90 to 95% of those thoughts are on repeat. So we have this limited thinking and this limited level of knowledge. Doesn't mean it has to stay that way. It's just what it is, right? Because that's why I always tell you guys, be open to new perceptions, be open, be open, be open. Because when shift of perception creates a change in direction. So when you have new information is really what a shift in perception is. It's going to allow you to go, oh, and it'll shift you in a different direction. So I do know at this stage of the game that delays are purposeful. I also know that rejection is either our protection or it is our redirection. So if someone rejects me, like let's say doesn't want to be my friend or doesn't want to read something or whatever type of rejection comes up, I'm like, okay. Because I know that I'm not supposed to have that thing. And I trust that. And in the dating world, which I am a relationship coach, so I want to talk about this. In the dating world, in the relationship world, when we are trying to force something, we are actually staying stuck in a place that is in lack, all right? There's so much lack wrapped up in that because we're thinking that person, it has to be this. If it's not this, I'm going to die. We chase this Okay, car. I don't know what's happening. This is a fairly new car, so I don't know why it's beeping at me. Okay, so we have to be willing to let rejection be redirection. Now, I need to make this clear right now. So meaning redirection is sometimes it is someone's like really rejecting us hard. We're not supposed to be there, y'all. We're just not supposed to be there. Think about Harry Potter's author. What's her name? I'm forgetting her name right now. I just love her. I've watched interviews with her. She's just so cool. I don't remember her name, and I'm sorry. And I'm sorry to you. It'll come. J.K. Rowling's. Okay. She was rejected, like 100 to 300 times. I don't remember the number. For Harry freaking Potter. But she didn't give up. She's like, okay, going in a different direction. And then whatever I'm sure that she ended up with that particular publisher was like the Mac Daddy perfect deal for her. Because she was rejected. But what was happening is she was staying in unshakable faith. She was standing in unshakable faith. She's like, I'm going to publish this no matter what. no matter how long this takes, no matter what. There's a theme park now, you guys. I believe it's in England. That's Harry Potter. I mean, this woman not only wrote one amazing book, she did this incredible series. She has a theme park now about it. I mean, she blew up, and she's got other books now too. And she's cool as heck. She is such a neat lady. So my point is to feel for inspiration. Don't take rejection as you're not supposed to have it if it is your dream. All right. People that are trying to be actors. I remember Will Smith saying sometime, long time ago, he said to like his girlfriend, he must have been super, super young, because when he did Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he was quite a young guy. I don't know, early 20s or something. But he was dating some girl at the time, so it was prior to that. And he was like, I'm going to be an actor. And she was like, you know, and she kind of like, yeah, whatever. And he had unshakable faith. He's like, you know what he did too? He got rid of her. He's not with her anymore, right? Because he knew where he was going and he couldn't have that coming at him. Now, this doesn't mean that we need to get rid of any negative. Doesn't mean that we need to get rid of any negative people in our lives. That's not what that means. Sometimes that's a call to get even more positive. So I don't want to go a lot into this right now, but sometimes that's a call to even get more positive, and to really lift your vibration, because sometimes that is just our vibration coming back to us. That is our doubt coming back to us. Then we get mad at that person for that doubt. And really, it's not them, it's our vibration that is calling that back to us for us to clean up. Which leads me to contrast, which was going to be one of my last points, but I'm flowing, and that's another point, is flow. I got to write that down. Flow. Contrast is when the world is reflecting back to us that which we don't want. All right. A lot of times when we get contrast, we want to have pity parties. We want to get mad. We want to kick and scream. We want to, like, why does this keep happening? And we're so upset and we're so, bummed out and all of these things. Okay. But contrast is only meant to show us our vibration. One time, randomly, out of the blue, I attracted 2 people in my coaching business. Now, I attract the most amazing clients, all right? But these 2 people were problematic, very problematic. And I won't get into the details, but I remember going like, oh my God, like, how the heck did this happen? And I didn't spend much time in that. I didn't sit and pour me pity party. All I did was, what were you vibrating, Kristen? What was your level of thinking at the time that you attracted this? And I don't remember the exact level of thinking, but I went, there it is. There it is. That was it. And it came right to me. And that was my call to get out of that vibration. So I didn't sit in it, all right? I was like, okay, that's what that is. All right, so when I talk about contrast is that is coming to us that we don't want to experience. Don't look at it as you suck, you're not good at this, life's never working out for you. Look at it as the opposite. I just had a mirrored reflection of my vibrational frequency. There it is. That keeps happening, and that's the opposite of what I want to happen. So I am going to go within, because we can only control self, you guys. You know that. We can only control, shift, change, heal, evolve. Numero uno. That's the only person. We can't control anything, anybody or anything out here. And we go within and we say, how can I clean up this vibration? What am I thinking? Because as the awesome and famous Mike Dooley, who's the massive law of attraction expert, says, thoughts become things. What we focus on grows. There's another quote. I wrote it down. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I'm going to see if I can find it for you guys, because that is, well, I don't know where it is. I don't want to look for it. Where attention goes, energy flows. Where attention goes, energy flows. What that means is what we're focusing on, we're going to expand. So if the universe is not up there going, oh, God, poor Kristen, she had some things going on. I need to give her a different experience. We're here to grow, you guys. The universe is neutral. God is neutral, okay? It's just a loving essence. But whatever it is that we're focusing on, it goes, okay, here you go. Here, you can have more of that, more of that. Also, when I have a good experience and let's say I have an amazing client. I'm like, oh God, love her or him, love them. I will have some quiet time where I will go, more of that, please, more of that. Or let's say I'm having a great experience with friends or a great experience with my career, whatever. I'm like, more of that, universe, more of that. And I really get into the vibration of, I can have that. Guess what happens? I have a better experience. That keeps coming to me. Okay, so flow state. What is flow state? Flow state is a state where we are in receiving mode of creativeness. I go like this. You see how I make little funny things? That's going in our head, right? And out our mouth. That's really what that's doing. It's coming into us and going out of us. Flow state, we all have this creative center in our brain, right? Our left brain is the logic, the thinking, the planning, the strategizing, and the right brain is the creative center. And we also have the chakras, as many of you probably know about. And you know, I won't get into all the chakras. This isn't a talk about chakras, but they're energy centers in our brain, which, by the way, are also proven. Look up the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. Blow your mind. He's on the cutting edge of all of this, you guys. He's doing it scientifically based too, which is just blow your mind. Dr. Joe Dispenza. But we will receive information. That is what a flow state is. Like when I was writing my book, the days that it just came out of me, it almost comes too fast. And I have to say, please slow this down so that I can, you know, make all of these points in a great way. So that is flow state. It just goes. Then there was times when I sat down at my computer because I felt like I had to write the do. I have to write. I got to do this. I got to get this done. I call it panting. That's what I call the panting phase. I got to do this. And I would sit down at my computer and I would write, and it's a big mess. It made no sense. I don't even know what I was writing. I hated every minute of it. And so many times I would click out and I'd go do something else because I wasn't in flow. This is about learning not to force, okay? Because a lot of times we just want to force life, you guys. We are part ego, and the ego is fear, and the ego wants to control. So this is about really shifting over into our higher mind, okay? Into our higher self, into our divine connection. And shifting over to that place is where we get into that energetic connection. But I will get more into that. So anytime that we are in panting, grabbing stage, I have to get on all 10 of these dating websites, I have to go to a bar, I have to go here, I have to go that to meet my perfect someone, my special someone. And then it's just that it never's happened. Every time you go, you come back and you're like, I'm attracting more of this and more of that, more of this and more of that. Okay, what is happening is that you're not flowing through inspiration. When I decided to enter the dating arena, I remember, this is just for me, this is not for you, getting on a dating website. I was on it for probably 5 seconds, not literally, you know, a week or so, and it just didn't feel right. And I know people who have met the loves of their lives on there. So this is not for you to not get on there or to get on there. And I was like, this doesn't feel right to me. And I clicked out of it. I unsubscribed or unpaid or did whatever you did. And I moved on because I trusted. I'm like, this person, my lifer is what I call it, is going to come to me in the most magical way. Keep in mind too, for 2 years I was single and celibate. I decided quite consciously to remain single and celibate. I didn't date. I didn't go to bars. I didn't go to places I was going to meet people. That was it. I was not going to do that. I'm like, God, you just bring me the right person at the right time. And guess what happened? It was a Facebook friend request from someone that I knew briefly in high school. And that is who I'm married to today. Okay? It can happen anyway. Now, if you're holding up in your house and doing nothing and you want to be a New York Times best-selling author and you're not even writing a book, or you want to meet the love of your life but you're not willing to go anywhere, this is what I mean by baby-inspired steps. Because if someone says to you, hey, Brenda, you want to go with me to the fair today? And you're like, no, I want to stay home, blah, 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 blah. You're like, but there's this piece of you that goes, it does kind of sound fun. You know, I guess I am being kind of lazy. Yeah, I'm going to go. Like if a little bit of you feels good. This is how my best friend met her husband, through me. Because I invited her to something and she said, no, I'm going to stay home and do laundry, literally. And she was like, I think we were like 21, 22 at the time. And I go, You could do laundry another day. Come on, come on. She ended up meeting her husband that night because she was like, oh, okay. See what I'm saying? So we can't stay holed up, but I don't want to go into that. I want to talk about trying to force the outcome. Because when we try to force outcome, we are actually repelling the thing. This is why surrender and letting go is a huge part of manifesting. And it's counterproductive, right? It's counterintuitive. We're like, how can I attract something to me but let go of it? Because that's when the resistance falls away. Because if we have resistance to the thing coming to us, it can't get in. It can't get in. It's like trying to get past these spikes. It can't get in. But it's when I want this thing, I'm showing up with baby steps and inspired action and inspiration, and I'm going to step back and I'm going to allow God, universe, to do what it needs to do for me. I'm going to show up with inspired action, and I'm going to take the steps forward without attachment to results. That thing can come in. So I often call it a lead umbrella. So if we have fear or resistance or lack or pity parties or whatever it is that we're doing, it's like a lead umbrella. We really, really want this thing, but we're in this low level of vibration. It can't drop in. Okay? So that's why aligning ourselves energetically is so important, and learning to let go and surrender is a huge part of that process. So I often like the panting phase, the huffing and puffing phase. I like to give this, is it a metaphor? A simile, I guess, is when you're in a pool, okay, and there's a ball, and I'm using a pool reference. I'm in Arizona. We swim all the time here. And I'm remembering this as a child. This happened to me in my youth, that there was a pool or a ball or something floating in the pool. So picture a red beach ball floating in the pool, and you want to get it, and you're pounding your way to the ball, pounding your way to the ball. And you're getting close, and it just, the wave takes it away. Or you touch it, and it's wet and it's slick and it spins, and you can't grab it, right? No matter how much effort and force that you put towards that, you're not going to get it, because it's going to forever move away from you, okay? However, when you know the ball is there, readily available, and I've done this where I've laid out on a raft or something, or just been talking to someone, next thing you know, the wind and the movements of the pool, and the ball comes and bumps up against you, and then you have the ball, okay? That's why we don't want to force things. So part of being a good master manifester is knowing you can't force outcome, and putting that in the bank. We cannot force outcome. Anytime we're forcing, we are working against the laws, okay? The laws of the universe. Okay, I mentioned surrender and allow and unshakable faith. Back a real quick thought to being in inspiration mode. I told you guys that. I don't do anything without feeling through it first. Like, is it time to write my book? Is it, when my husband reached out to me and was like, hey, want to talk to me? I'm like, does this feel good to me? Yeah. When he wanted to meet up for the first time, I was washing my car. He's like, oh, I'm driving by. I'll stop by. I said, no, didn't feel good to me. Right? And then he's like, oh, we're going here tonight. Where you want to go? I said, okay, that felt good to me. See what I'm saying, you guys? We just go with the flow. What feels good? What feels inspired? Get in touch with that inspiration. Okay. Another fun story was when I met my first husband. And I talk about my first husband fondly because he's not a bad person. We just didn't jive. We grew separately. And I talk about that. People, couples that grow together stay together. Friends that grow together stay together. Okay? But couples that one person's growing and the other person is not, there becomes a massive disconnect in the relationship, and eventually you depart. We remained friends for a solid 10 years. We did holidays together. We, all kinds of things, even with significant others, for 10 years post-divorce. My older kids said they never felt like a product of divorce until he met somebody who did not really approve of our friendship, even though it was just a friendship. But we got the good years in there. So I think of him fondly. I still even have love in my heart for him, but just not my person. But here's the thing. That's free will. His free will was for him to either grow with me, because like I said, or not. All right. So you're going to be thinking like, well, you attracted him, but you didn't stay married to him. Well, that's because there's somebody else involved. There's free will involved. And I don't want to say this to scare you guys, because that's not the point. The point is to understand about attracting. So I was around 21 years old and I was working at a resort here in Arizona. I was a hostess in the fine dining room. And I remember during that time, maybe I was 20. I think that might have been when I was 20. And I was huffing and puffing and panting because I wanted a boyfriend. And I was like trying to get a boyfriend and trying to go places that boyfriends would be, trying to meet people, doing all the things and just being too much, And I remember thinking to myself, like having no results, none. And I was like, what the heck? And I remember thinking to myself one day, standing at the hostess stand, going, why do I need a boyfriend? Why do I need this? What do I think this is going to do for me? And I had this realization at 21 years old. This is why I say I was doing this before I even knew I was doing the law of attraction. And I was like, I don't need a boyfriend. And I didn't need a boyfriend. And I was perfectly comfortable not needing a boyfriend. Guess what happened? People started to ask me out. So this one guy, I didn't know it was a date. I think it was now in hindsight. But he was a cook. He was a chef. He's like, hey, do you want to go to this place? It was an old stagecoach stop here in North Scottsdale area. It was called Greasewood Flats. And they had turned it into like an outdoor music venue with fire pits and stuff like that and hamburgers and beer and stuff like that. And he's like, you want to go? And I was like, sure, okay. So I went with him to this place and he sat down and I went inside this little tiny little wooden building to get myself a drink. And I was standing behind this guy in front of me and I'm looking at him like, God, he looks familiar. And it sounds, cliche, but it wasn't. I was like, God, he looks so familiar. And I'm staring at him and I'm like, can't place it. I couldn't place it. At one point he turns around to talk to someone else. So I said, because there's a line, and I said, you look really familiar to me and I just can't place it. And he was like, oh, I don't know. So we're like, where'd you go to school? We ended up going to the same high school. And I was like, oh, okay. Maybe I know you from there. And he still didn't recognize me. And then I said, what's your name? And he told me his name, and it's an unusual name that I'm not going to say here. But he told me his name and I went, oh, I know who you are. He was an upperclassman. He was 2 years older than me. And when I was coming down this one stairwell outside, I would see him walking across like this open area. And I remember every time I saw him going, oh, he's so cute. He's so cute. And then that year when the yearbooks came out, I was flipping through the yearbooks with my friend and I saw him and I go, oh, there's that guy I think is so cute. And I looked at his name and I'm like, that's his name? Like, that he didn't look like that would be his name. So when he said it to me, I was like, oh, that's who you are. Okay, fine, great. Everything was done. He went on with his people. I went off with my people. And he was sitting with a bunch of waitresses, females, because he worked at a place as a server. Actually, I think he was even a busser at that point. And was sitting with a bunch of females, and I'm with another guy. Didn't know it was a date, like I said. But anyway, that night ends. As I'm walking out, I just pat him on the shoulder because I am a super friendly person. I was like, hey, it was really nice to meet you. And again, not thinking anything. He's like, yeah, you too. Done. Walked out, left, went home. The very next weekend, some other guy had asked me on a date. Or I think there was a weekend that was skipped. I'm not sure. The very next weekend, we're at this thing called they call it the Prada del Sol Barn Dance or something like that. So we have this big parade here every year. And there was this massive venue that brought in all like the big, huge country music artists and they would play. So it was this big like fiesta. And I was there with this guy. I don't even know how I met this guy, but just some rando dude that I was on a date with. And I went to stand in the girls' bathroom line. And I don't need to tell you about the girls' bathroom lines. Super, super long. And I'm standing there and I'm waiting. And as I, went to the restroom, I come back out and there's that guy again with the name. And I was like, oh, there he is again. But he was standing next to a female. Didn't think anything of it because there's people everywhere. And I just like patted him and I was like, as I'm walking by and he turned around, he's like, oh, hey. I'm like, hey. We're both of us are with different people. Turned out I was standing in line next to his date. He later told me. All right, push that aside. The very next weekend, 3 weekends in a row. This happened over 4 weeks. So there's a break in there somewhere. I just can't remember. Basically 3 weekends in a row. I'm at a completely different place with a completely different guy friend. Okay. And I'm standing there and I look down and there down the way just a little bit, here he is again. So I walked over to him and I was like, hey. Long story short, he ends up driving me home that night. We exchanged phone numbers and we were together ever since, for 10 years and still friends to this day. So my point is that when we let go, it is going to happen. The universe is going to line us up with things. And like I said, the fact that he didn't grow with me was not an issue because that's just the way it was. That is free will. And that leads me to the point that you cannot manifest a certain someone. Okay? You can't go, I want Bob or I want Lorraine. You can't do that because they have free will. That is where we have no power. But this is my favorite, you guys. And I just made a short video on this on my channel. It's not very long. It's like, 7 minutes or something like this. But this is one of those tools. Bob or something better. Lorraine or something better. That's what you put into the universe. Because Bob may be it. Lorraine may be it. But if they're not, you're giving universe free reign to bring you exactly what you want. Bob, I was hung up on a guy for a couple years. I mean, you'll read about this in my second book. I know I say this a lot, you guys. It's just they're long stories. I was hung up on a guy for a couple years. And when I heard that or something better, I was like, okay. So I said, him or something better. It wasn't him. I got something better. But not only did I get something better, you guys, and this is so profound, it makes me tear up. I look back at what I was coveting so hard, and that would have not worked. Yeah, he was cute. Yeah, we had great sex. Yeah, he was fun. He was these things, but he drank an excessive amount. He traveled a lot. He had 3 kids that took up the majority of his attention. So he's gone, but when he's home, he needs to be with his kids. There was a lot of things in there that I look at and I'm like, that would have been another disaster. It would have been another disaster. I wouldn't have been happy in that. But God knew better. So I said him or something better. But I was open. And that's the whole point of this. And I go like this because I want you guys to see my open heart. It's open. God, the universe is abundant. Bring me what you think that I will enjoy the most. Okay, let's move on. Yes, long term, some goals or some dreams and desires are going to take longer than others, okay? And there's a reason for that. There's lots of reasons for that. But having an unshakable determination and having an unshakable faith, unwavering faith that you will have that no matter what, you will have that, will yield you getting that. It's that unshakable faith. Sometimes there are pieces and parts and people and times and there's a lot of parts to what it is that you're asking for. The way I describe this is like a gourmet meal. So many times we can attract the parking spot. I'm a master parker. Man, and if I'm driving with somebody else and they're not getting parking spots, I'm like, can we switch positions? Because I will find one in 20 seconds. Or I'll tell them to stop looking, just let go. And I'm thinking of my husband right now, let go. And I will just I will get into it. I can manifest a parking spot like lickety split, like in a busy parking lot. Narrow shoes. I have very narrow feet. It's very difficult for me to find shoes. Not very narrow, like the worst narrow ever. Not, some people have that. But, oftentimes when I go to stores, like if it's like some type of sandal type shoe, my feet just slide right out the bottom. I mean, they don't hold in the shoe. And one time I went shopping with a girlfriend with both of us have very narrow feet. You guys are going to love this. And on the drive to pick her up, I was like, we're going to find like all kinds of like there's going to be so many shoes. They're all going to be there. Like it's going to be like, I'm not going to even know, like I'm going to not know which ones to pick because there's going to be so many options. Each of us went home with like 4 pairs of shoes that day. That is unheard of. But I put it out in the universe. I'm like, this is going to be my experience. And I'm going to explain to you what I did with that in a little bit, why it happened like that. So, but some things take longer. One of my manifestations that I am the most proud of is that I always said this. I want to raise my children into high-functioning adults who actually like me and want to spend time with me. Because our kids are going to love us no matter what. Even kids that have been abused still love their parents on some level, right? That's just a thing. But I wanted my kids to like me, like me, enjoy me, want to spend time with me. I wanted this really close simpatico relationship, you know, and we still, my eldest daughter and I talk about buying like 10 acres and us all building houses on it. When I tell you I have that relationship with my kids, I do. I do. Even my son, who's 26 years old, calls me all the time. He straight up tells people, like, I'm a mama's boy. What he means by that is, I love my mom and I'm not afraid to say it. Okay? He's not like a boo-boo baby that has to come cry on my shoulder all the time. Not like that. I mean, he's a leader. He's a strapping young man. He's beautiful in mind, body, and spirit, but he calls himself a mama's boy. And what he's saying is, I love her. I don't care what you guys say. She is the bomb.com. This is what I wanted. But guess what? I was parenting for the first time at 26 years old, all right? I did not know my worth. I did not know what I was doing. We all know that these kids don't come with manuals. You know, there was things that I said or did that I wasn't proud of, and I made mistakes, a lot of them. But guess what I did? I had that goal. And that goal, God would give me information. Look at the way you're responding. Look at the way you're acting. Read this book. Pick up that. Ask your hair clients. My hair clients were the greatest resource. I would go to work, and if I had a question like, how do you put a kid, you know, get him to sleep through the night? I just start asking my clients all day long, and then somebody would have the answer for me. Or here's the other thing too, you guys, accept the best and leave the rest. And I tell you guys, you have full permission to do this with me all the time. Don't think because you follow me or you're listening to me or you're watching this video right now once it's recorded on repeat, that you have to listen to anything I ever say. Nope, I'm not attached, because this is your journey. Your journey is specific to you, period. But if you hear things that are inspiring to you, that could be God talking through me to you. So I did listen to my clients, even it was something to do with how to get a child to sleep through the night. I listened to my clients. Well, I did this, I did that. Well, were you afraid of this? And what about that? And I took what felt good. And I was like, I'm going to try that. Because we have information at our fingertips, because the universe is abundant. It doesn't, and sometimes it comes through other people. Sometimes it comes through books. Sometimes it comes to a sign on the wall. Sometimes it comes to a random beep coming through your car. You see what I'm saying, you guys? But when we're calm and we're out of our fear, we calm our nervous system, then we are open to that. That's why calming our nervous system is literally one of the best manifesting techniques. Shocker. You know, who would think? It seems so not in alignment. But if we're in a state of fear and we're in a state of survival mode, like, and I'm just going to say this, a lot of people went into with the pandemic and with the lockdowns and I can never remember, quarantining. You know, that was scary to people, right? So a lot of people got shocked into that mode, and they're kind of still in it. And now apparently there's a thing going on with our economy. Can you tell I don't pay attention to that stuff? That is, I don't choose it as my reality. And guess what happens, you guys? I don't experience it as my reality. Okay? I know that sounds weird. Take the best, leave the rest. But I don't focus on that. So I don't grow that in my life. Okay? I focus on abundance. I focus on the universe is always bringing me everything that I need. All right? So long-term dreams. That was a long-term dream, to have this relationship. And I'm still raising a 16-year-old. So I had 2 from my first husband and 1 from my second. And so I am still raising another child, but we're already on track because now I know how to do it. But I had open mind, open heart. And I will tell you that I did a really great job, and I'm very proud of myself. I don't say that with any sort of arrogance. I say it with extreme humility. It tears me up. Because I worked hard. Because I showed up for the baby steps. I followed my inspiration, and I achieved that. Amazing relationship with a partner, another long-term goal. I will have this no matter what. And guess what happens? I learn, he learns, we grow. inspiration comes in. I will just be scrolling through my phone, something catches my attention, and it goes, I need to do that. I feel that. Or yes, I've been doing this. It's reminders. It's that course correcting. You guys, you can have anything you want. You want health. You want abundance of wealth. You may not. You want friends and family and laughter and travel and excitement and the home of your dreams. You can have it. You can have it. You have to be willing to show up to each baby step along the way to remove any of the blocks that might be blocking, remember, the lead umbrella, blocking the receiving of this thing. All right, let me move forward. This is a biggie. I was working with a coach at one point. She was a marketing coach. It was a group program. And she was just like helping us like fine tune our messages and things like that. It was very helpful. She is cool as sheet. And at one point she said to us without even a blink, she didn't even move. She didn't even have doubt. I felt it because I am a freaking empath, clairsentient, and I'm intuitive AF. And I can tell the minute someone's lying, the minute someone's doubtful. I pick up on that stuff. Like, I don't care if it's a pinprick, I will pick up on it. She had zero doubt. And she said to us once in a call, she said, I want it all. And for some of you right now, you might have went like, right? Because that's your ego. Just telling you right now, that's your ego. And she's like, I want it all. I want health, wealth, relationship, abundance, fun, this. And she listed it like it ain't no thing. That was a sign to me. I want it all. Well, she wants it all. I want it all too. It didn't even occur to me, you guys. It didn't even occur to me that we could have it all. Like at that stage, that juncture of my life, I was like, well, you can have a good relationship or you can have this, but shit always happens and life happens and things happen. No. You want to vibrate at that? I don't want to vibrate at that. I want to vibrate at I can have it all. I can experience the best life. I tell people this all the time. I want to go sliding into home base, meaning death. I want to go sliding into home base going, that was amazing. Here you go, kids. You got it from here. Thank you, everybody. Good night. That's what I want, to live an abundant, full, rich life. And now that I know that I can have that, thank you to that coach. Thank you. Now that I know that I can have that because she said it and I was like, duh. Again, the message came from somebody else. All right. Okay. Let's move on. Okay. Oh, why some things take so long. Now, this is an important thing to address because is my business where I want my business to be? No. Why is it taking so long? Why? What's going on? I talk about this a lot, and I'm very open and free about this. I had a massive fear of public speaking. Massive. When in 2010, one of my girlfriends says, hey, you want to go to coaching school with me? I'm like, sure. I went to coaching school. While I was in coaching school, one of my former hair clients that I had given up calls me and says, hey, there's this morning show here that she actually had delivered the lady's baby because she was an OBGYN, my client. She had delivered the lady. She goes, yeah, and I'm friends with her. And she comes into my office and she said, hey, do you know anybody that's a life coach? And because I had done this gal's hair for so long, she knew me. She knew the way I talked. I wasn't like coaching formally. This is just how I've always been, you guys. And she's like, she wants somebody to get on there and talk about eat, pray, love. And I was like, yes. And I say it like that because I said yes, and then I hung up the phone and I freaked out because I'm like, what the hell are you thinking? I couldn't even talk to the ladies at my salon. There were 8 friends. That's how many people worked there without turning beet red and stumbling over my words. I took F's in college and high school rather than give a speech. When I tell you, didn't want to public speak, I'm telling you, and here I was accepting being on live television. WTF, Kristen Brown, what are you doing? So I just kind of pushed it out of my head. And of course they're saying, there's all this back channel stuff that you have to do with them. Tell us the questions that you want us to ask you. And like, there's things like that. So anyway, So I have to do all this work. I'm sending it off to the station. The day comes for me to get on this thing. I am flipping out. I'm taking the longest amount of time that I can possibly take to get ready. To get in the shower. I'm just like, I can't do this. I'm like, okay, I'm going to call them and say that I have diarrhea or my kid's sick or my mom's, I don't know. I'm making up all this stuff in my head. I'm like, Kristen, my integrity wouldn't let me do that. So I got myself ready and I drove to the station. The whole time I'm driving there, I'm deep breathing. I'm wishing I had something, a Xanax or something. I've never taken one, but I'd wish that I had had one. I'm like, something's got to calm me down. I walk into the green room that everybody talks about. It's not green. I'm sitting there and everybody's just chatting. All the other guests are chatting with themselves. And I'm in the corner like, I'm gonna blow up. I'm gonna spontaneously combust. Then they walk you out to the stage. And there's these massive cameras that look like dinosaurs. And guess what, you guys? To add insult to injury, they had a live audience that day. They normally didn't. They recorded live or shot live, but they didn't have. So there's people. I have this on my YouTube channel. And I invite you guys to go look at it just because it's funny. It's nothing that's going to go viral or anything like that. Just if you're interested, because this is what it looks like to be scared to death and do it anyway. So I did the thing, and it's a really quick segment. You hardly even talk. It's a very quick thing. And it was over, but I walked off that stage going, holy moly. What was that? I loved it. I loved it. I was like, oh my God, I love this. I drove home. I was so excited. I was so inspired. I didn't even know what I looked like. I don't even know if I did a good job. I had notes in my hands. I don't even know what happened. But I drove home. My girlfriend had recorded it on her DVR. That's when you could do that. And I watched it. And I remember not thinking it was me. I was just engrossed in the segment. I thought, I'm not even seeing that that's me. Long story short, you guys, that was the opening to doing what I'm doing now. How can you be any more of a public speaker than to be on freaking YouTube Live? Now, mind you, there's not thousands of people in this room, but the audience is worldwide, right? Anybody in the world could see this. But my point is, what was the next step? I went to a public speaking place called Toastmasters, if you guys have heard of that, because I needed to learn to public speak. Just on the drive to Toastmasters, I wanted to go home. And then they're like, stand up and say your name, beet red. I'm telling you guys, fear. I stayed that just a couple of months because I had nothing against Toastmasters. My particular chapter, I had some strange things that were going on. I was like, I'm out of here. And then I started blogging. That was scaring me. That's my work going out into the world. And then at some point, the blogging got comfortable. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to move into, I wrote a book. That was scary. That's going out into the world, right? And then it moved, I'm like, yeah, I feel like I'm getting my points across like this. So I went into podcasting, and then I didn't like that people couldn't see my expressions. They could hear me now, but they couldn't see my expressions. So then I started YouTube channel just for a little bit. I didn't do too much with this YouTube channel back then. I've only been back on this YouTube channel for about 4 months, maybe. Anyway, so I started YouTube channel, but the point is that I was practicing. And then lo and behold, in walks the wisdom app. Okay? The wisdom app walks in. And I'm invited there as a top mentor. I already get top mentor badge because I have a podcast that's been approved by them. They know what I talk about, yada, yada. If you guys want to check that out, it's called the Sweet Empowerment Podcast, Reclaim Your Personal Power. That's a fun one too, because if you go back down to my very first episode, it's 7 little minutes with a whole bunch of edits. And I don't care. I leave it there. Because now I can speak like nothing. Look, you guys, it's been 1 hour and 8 minutes. Okay? But I couldn't. I had to do it in segments and pause and delete. And, that's how it was. But I kept showing up because this inspiration was inside of me. Okay? This is why some things take a little longer, because there's some things that we have to heal or grow or shift or evolve or move through or get stronger in, or heal some false and limiting beliefs about. I'll get more into that. And so I went on the wisdom app scared to death because it's live. It's a live. I love the wisdom app. It was like the most serving thing to me. It's so timely. Got on there, hitting let's go is the start button. It says let's go. Hitting let's go, shaking, freaking out, whatever. Long story short, I ended up being one of the highest or most, I don't even know what to call it, just, just a big guy on there, okay? Because who knew? But I got to practice my public speaking live, and the feedback I was getting and the confidence that I was gaining, all right? While I was on that, my stagnant YouTube channel that I'm not even posting on or looking at, 2 of my videos went viral for me without me. They were posted a year and 2 years prior. My energy over here was so awesome. It started affecting something over here. And I'm watching this video, like these people, 300 and something comments, and I'm like, that video was filmed in my car a year prior. See what I'm saying, you guys? We don't know what uni is doing. We don't know. That's why we let go. So that, I said, when I'm done with my book, I'm going to start YouTubing again. Here I am, you guys. And then I've learned more about YouTube. Oh, there's YouTube lives? I really like the live thing. I almost kind of like the live thing better than I like the video format, because you have to like get these small points out and whatever. Getting better at that. But my point is that this is why some things take longer. Also because we have limiting beliefs. Part of my limiting beliefs that were making me afraid getting on the Wisdom app was, do I make sense? Am I entertaining? Do people like to listen to me? I don't make, whatever, all those types of limiting beliefs. But I showed up from my heart. And that is something that will never lead you astray, is that when you show up from your heart, when you are heart-led in life, things are going to work out for you, because that is what the universe responds to. Okay, that doesn't mean we're all balls out there with our heart and we don't have boundaries and things like that. For Pete's sakes, I'm an empowerment coach, right? I'm a recovering people pleaser coach. That's not what it means. But it means about being authentic and stepping into your truth. And that's all you guys get from me here. I do not talk or act any differently to you than I would to someone who is sitting in this car with me. So like Little Iodine had said earlier, we are having coffee. little Iodine. Okay, so some things are going to take a little longer, but there's another thing too. I have an ultimate dream of how I want my business to look, but it may not be what people think. I don't want to go stand on big stages right now. That's not part of my dream. I don't want to go stand on a stage with 3,000 people. People might be, whatever. And so there was a part of me that was pushing away public speaking. Part of me. And I'm in this group. I have this group of people that I work with, and we meet every 2 weeks and we talk about stuff. And I said, you know what, you guys, I just realized something. I won't own public speaker. I wouldn't own it, because my brain was saying that meant I had to go stand on a stage like Tony Robbins and talk to 3,000 people. And it doesn't sound fun to me. It may later, just saying that, but right now it doesn't. And I said, I really need to own public speaker. I am a public speaker. And they're like, Kristen, yeah, I speak live all the time. I'm a public speaker. But I couldn't own it because my brain didn't want me to do that. Or I didn't want to do that. I'm not inspired to do that, so I'm not going to own this. Do you see what I'm saying? And this is what can happen, let's say, with relationships. Like someone really, really, really wants a relationship, but subconsciously, they're afraid that they're going to lose their freedom. That's going to keep blocking them from it. Do you see what I'm saying, you guys? This is what's fascinating about this whole journey. It's not the fact that you can't have it. It's what blocks do you need to remove to receive it. Okay? I call it alignment. We're just aligning to it, because let's say the thing that you want is here and you're over here. Okay, you just have to get into alignment with it. Sometimes for fun, I don't call it the law of attraction. I call it the law of divine alignment. I made that up one day on the Wisdom app. I said it's really the law of divine alignment, because people say we're attracting it, but to me it's just we're aligning to it because it's already there. It's like it has this little docking station, kind of like, Star Wars, or they dock to things, right? Has this little docking station. Our little vibration goes, and eventually it docks. It connects to it, and then that's when the thing manifests into our life. So some things will take a little longer, but what is it that you have to work on? So the more that you can get cleaned up in, what am I thinking? What am I believing? Am I fearing? Because anything rooted under the fear umbrella is going to be a block. So if you think you're, You're going to lose your freedom in a relationship, or you're just going to attract another a-hole, or a jerk, narcissist, cheater. You're going to get cheated on again, or you're going to be abused again. If you're believing those things, that's going to block healthy male or female coming to you. Do you see what I'm saying, you guys? It'll block it. So then you're like, why do I keep attracting these people all the time? Because you're believing that that's still out there, right? But you're like, but it's my experience. It's my reality. It's what it's come to me. It's what you're believing is turning into your reality. Because thoughts become things. And what we focus on grows. Which takes us all the way back to the beginning of this conversation, right? So sometimes we have to have a shift in mindset. I had to have a shift in mindset that people would listen to me, that people cared what I had to say, that people were excited by what I talked about. And that's all the response I got back from wisdom. I'd pop onto another talk and somebody else was saying, God, Chris, the other day someone goes, I love me some Kristen Brown. And I was like, why am I surprised? Because I've been putting that out into the universe. Do you see what I'm saying? And there's some people that may hate me. I don't care. I don't get involved with that, because if I'm focusing on haters or focusing on negative or focusing there's not a great guy or focusing can never have the career or the money or the this, that's what's going to happen. Okay? Here's another thing. I have heard in the world that haters show up. The bigger you get, the bigger your haters. Oh, haters have shown up. So I look at it and I go, that's a good sign. Do you see how I'm choosing to see that? That's a sign of success. Okay, let's move on. Okay, this is a big one. Feelings first, manifestations second. All right? Feelings first, manifestations second. I heard that first from Andy Dooley, who I'm going to mention here because I just adore him. He actually even gave me a testimonial for my book, but he is Mike Dooley's brother. And that's the first time I heard that. Feelings first, manifestation second, I believe was from Andy Dooley. And I think about that and let that marinate a lot in my mind too, because what this is about is what are we feeling? I hope this AC isn't bugging you guys, the blowing. Feelings first, manifestation second. It's about getting into the feels of having it already. It is the acting as if, okay? When I was living with my mom, we were, the kids and I would drive to the stores. When I first moved into my mom's house, I was like bitter, mad, and I remember I'd be driving to the store going, here I am again, alone, because and men are this, and and I had all this negativity about me. And I was like, God, Kristen, you are something else right now. Granted, I had some healing to do, but I also knew what I was believing. So I turned that around. And it's so funny because my notes here said, drove to Walmart with man. And I was watching it a second ago. I'm like, I do not remember driving to Walmart with a man. And then now that I'm telling the story, I'm remembering what this is. What I did is as I was driving to the super Walmart that was near my mom's house, I would picture that my ideal partner, my lifer, was with me. And I would feel what it felt like for him to be in the vehicle with me, and being happy to go to the grocery store with me, and being happy to walk through the aisles and contributing to the food and what he thought we should make for dinner, and then it was easy. And I guess what my husband likes to do, you guys? He will go shopping for me. That's how much I manifested a shopping boy. The grocery store is not my favorite thing, but he will go for me. Like, will you stop at the store? Oh yeah. Oh, he's so happy to stop at the store. Just today I came home. He's like, we got some lunch meat, at the store. It's like he just loves the store. So do you see what I'm saying? We can attract anything we want, but we have to be willing to feel as if first. So I felt as if I got those narrow shoes. I was driving there. I had no doubt in the world. I was like, I'm going to find like so many narrow shoes. If you guys are just joining, a lot of you have been here from the beginning, but if you are just joining, I went shopping with a girlfriend one day. We both have very narrow feet, and I was like, I put it out there before I even picked her up from her house that we were going to find narrow shoes, and not only that, there was going to be such an abundance that we were going to have to choose from them. Okay, and we walked out with like 4 pairs each, or 2 pairs. I don't remember exactly, you guys. Could have been 4 pairs between us. But anyway, I found the narrow. It was like boop boop. Oh, they're perfect, comfortable things I could stand on at work. Blah blah blah. So my point is that I felt it first. I felt that this was a thing, that this was a done deal. And that can be a trip up for people because reality gets in the way. But it's not a done deal. It doesn't matter because you have this beautiful thing called an imagination, right? And Mike Julie also talks about this a lot. And the reason why I mention people, you guys, is not because I'm affiliated with them, is because I want to give them credit. I like to give people credit where credit is due. And Mike Julie says a lot, 1 to 4 minutes of creative visualizations with the feeling attached to it is going to yield you results. It also says that 1 to 4 minutes of creative visualizations will offset 18 hours of negativity. So you can have yourself in the pit where you're just bitching and moaning and not having a good day, and then you just say 1 to 4 minutes of that will offset, because the power of negativity is much less. Otherwise, can you imagine how much negativity we would have, because all the things that we fear, how much, would be coming into our life. The strength of a negative thought is extremely weak, but over time we can call it to us, okay? But the strength of a positive thought rooted in love and abundance is very strong, and it will overrule all of that. So 1 to 4 minutes of visualization. Dr. Joe Dispenza says this. He says, an intention combined with an elevated emotion. Spending time with your intention combined with an elevated emotion. And this is why I say gratitude is extremely, gratitude quite literally is the highest vibrating emotion. Gratitude, thank you, appreciation. It is the highest vibrating emotion. Abraham Hicks, don't know if you guys know who Abraham Hicks is. Esther Hicks is an individual who channels Abraham, which is the collective consciousness. They're huge. They're all over the world, all over YouTube. She wrote, or one of them, whoever wrote, Asking It Is Given. Okay, Abraham Hicks, massive. And what was my point with that? I'm just so busy giving you their bio. Gratitude, yes. They have an emotional guidance scale, and it's a scale of 1 to 22 emotions. 1 and even 2 are where we manifest. And the first thing on emotional guidance scale is gratitude and appreciation, and there's a couple other things on there. The last one is like fear and depression and something else. I actually use this guidance scale when I'm coaching people. When they first come in, I'll say, maybe the first couple of sessions until I get to know them, I'll say where you're at on the scale. They'll tell me, and my gauge that they had shifted and up leveled is where they're at when they leave. Last girl I coached she was like a 10 and 11 and even a 21, and when she left, she was a 1. She goes, I'm a 1. I'm in gratitude. I'm in optimism. She had shifted so much because she'd allowed her perceptions to shift. So that is the number one highest vibration, is gratitude. So giving thanks in advance. And the last video, if you guys saw it, that I just made, I talk about this. And that's kind of why I thought that I should make a long form live video, is because I talked about that, but I just kind of jumped into law of attraction, like kind of out of nowhere with you guys. And I was like, let me make a long form video so people know like where I'm coming at with this. So giving gratitude in advance. And I also talking about telling the universe to impress me. Okay? Impress me. Because I know that we can be impressed. And Mike Julie also says, I have this written on my mirror right now in my house. I told you guys in that video that I write things with dry erase marker on my mirror. And because it wipes off really, really easily. If it stays on there for a long time, you might need a little bit of water. But other than that, it's like wipes off easily. And it says something like, the miracles are invisible while this is happening. Okay, so what does that mean? Miracles are invisible. That means that as we're going through this journey, all of these things that are lining up and shifting and changing and doing for us, they're invisible. We won't recognize the miracles until after the fact. When you look back and you remember that you met that person. like me talking about getting on Sonora and living live. Like, that's part of the path for me. That was part of my path. And I didn't know it. I said yes to it because I felt inspired to in the moment. Oh, by the way, they ended up inviting me back 4 more times. I think I only have 3 of the videos down there because when the 4th one came, I think my computer crashed or something. But yeah, they ended up inviting me back. What the bleep, right? And they referred me to another station for another segment on something. Anyway, so my point is that you combine your intention with an elevated motion. A lot of times the elevated motion is gratitude or love. Okay, those are both the highest forms. Capital L, love. Love that is of the universe, of God, of source. Love that is undeniable. Love that is unconditional. Love that is the purest form of energy. Okay, so anytime we're in a feeling of love, we are resonating a beautiful energy out. That helps to clean our field as well. Okay, so that's why it takes so long. Oh, you guys, the sun moved, so I'm just going to, you guys are cracking up at me probably. You're like, Kristen, I'm moving, so I'm out of the sun. I'm getting hot. Driving with me in my car. You probably see all my goodies back there. That's my hiking box. I have things in there for hiking. The seat's down because I bring my poochie with me. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen Wesley a lot. He's my boy. He's my hiking boy. I manifested Wesley. I said I want a 45-pound dog who loves to hike, who's very kind and gentle and sweet, and blah, 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 blah. And out of the blue, my daughter one day, I wasn't even looking for a dog. Out of the day, my oldest daughter messaged me and she said, Mom, she's like, there's these pups that are at this rescue, yada, yada. I'm like, I don't really want a dog right now, this and that. And then I just got warmed up to the idea and I was okay, yeah, all right. Because it felt inspiring to me. Guess what? Wesley's 45 pounds. He will hike and hike and hike and hike. He stays right next to me. 5 weeks old, I went out into the forest behind my brother's house and he literally circled me within a 10-foot radius of me the entire time at like 5 months old. I mean, this dog, he's my boy. Anyway, manifested Wesley. All right, where am I at with this, you guys? I'm forgetting. Manifest second. Oh yeah. Sometimes we need to develop skills for certain things too. Okay, so if someone says, I want to be an NFL quarterback that wins the trophy and does all the things, and they're 20 years old or they're 15 years old, they're going to need to develop skills and body, like I was talking about with becoming a great parent and having my kids love and like me. There's some skills that I had to develop along the way. So if you have, let's say you're extremely shy, but you want to, attract a partner, but you don't talk to anybody, we might need to develop some skills. Doesn't mean your partner's not there. And this is what I want to say is, ask and it is given. The title of their book, Ask and it is given. The reason why they titled it that is you ask, it is given. You ask, it is given. You ask, it is given. It's right there. But you got to be in energetic vibration to receiving it. Okay? That's all that means. All right. I talked about surrender, letting go, trying to control. Oh yeah, I often say this, you guys, that trying to control is, I call it muddying the waters. So I know that when I'm in control mode, and way in the beginning of this, I was talking about going to court, and I said I would circle back to that, and I'm going to circle back to that right now. When I was in court with my first husband, a lot was banking on this. Of course, he wanted to fight me for everything. Hold on, I got to take a sip. Can't believe I went that long without water. Okay, so it was just going to be a big deal. Not only that, I had put all of my money from a previous house into the house that we were in, and I'm gonna just be honest, I put like a lot of money into that house, and we spent a lot on that house because that's when the housing market was really high. So guess what happened? The economy crashed. So not only did I lost all my equity, all of it, and it was a lot. Okay, it was like a lot, and we ended up getting only $6,000 out of the equity, and he wanted half. Okay, and I mean, he was just, and he's got this great high-paying job now, and he was making great 6 figures, and I'm over here, had just retired, given up my career, farmed out all of my clients, had no other means of income, was losing my home, was moving in with my parents. Like, all of these things were happening. I was scared to death. I didn't think I could care for my family, all of these things. And I'm someone who had, I think at that time, I had an 841 credit rating. I'd never missed a bill. I mean, I've worked since I was 15. So the fact that this was even happening was mind-blowing to me. It was like, it was mind-blowing. So my point is, now I'm going to court, and, I had two things that could happen. One, I could be really bitter and F him, screw him, revenge him, all these things. But I knew that's not how it works. I knew it's not how it works. And I stayed in my energy. And I said, God, please. I'm like, what I prayed for was the highest outcome for all concerned. For the highest good of all concerned. Please work this to the highest good of all concerned. You know what I'm asking for. You know what I need to promote us forward, to support my family, to do the things I need to do, and for the highest good of all concerned. Some might say that, while it must be really hard and this or that, when you know how this system works, I knew that it was my only choice. I knew that if I didn't do it that way, that I was going to muddy the waters, because I was going to try to control. And the God/universe source is love. It's all love. And regardless of what my ex had done, he's still a child of God. He's still a divine spark himself. And this doesn't mean that the highest good means he gets all the money, or he gets everything that he was asking for, or, that's not what the highest good means. Sometimes the highest good for somebody is that they do have to pay you. Sometimes the highest good is that you do win that battle and they don't. Because we're all on this journey. Do you see what I'm saying? We're all learning. And this could get more complicated with energy and things like that too, and karma coming back to us. What's karma coming back? It's energy that we put out, it's energy that comes back to us. All right? So, but I just let go. I did not have any control over this. I was not going to control it. I wasn't going to try to do anything. I answered the questions. I was honest. I showed up. And the day of the court, I was a nervous wreck again. I'm going to, this is before I even went on to Northern Living, before I even went to Toastmasters, and I had to get up on a stand. I'm just going to freak out. And I pull up. The closer I'm getting to the court, I'm shaking. I'm nervous. I'm like, oh my God. I get inside there. I'm sitting outside the courtroom, and I sat against the chair, and I just laid my head back like this with my eyes closed. And my lawyer, I remember, was standing right here to my left, and he goes, "You okay? You okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm just meditating." And he was like, "Oh," like I don't think he'd ever heard that before. I was like, I can't control this, and I'm not going to try to. And if I do, I'm going to muddy the waters. So I'm going to let go. And I'm just going to show up as me. Because I had nothing to hide. I didn't do anything dastardly. There's nothing bad. And I went up on the stands, answered all the questions, and his attorney was a piranha. He was nasty and attacking me the first day. The second day, it was almost like I was on trial for some heinous crime, is how I was being treated, asking me the most ridiculous questions. And anyway, the next day he was so soft and gentle to me. I think somehow that energy reached him. I think he was like, wait a minute, I'm getting a whole different picture here than what this guy told me. Get what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm kind of digressing with that. But what I want to tell you guys is that the highest good of all concern, when we resonate from that space, that we are actually letting go for the correct outcome to happen for everybody. We're relinquishing control. And that is one of the highest and best places we can be in when we're trying to manifest something. So guess what happened? It was like 30 days later, the court makes a ruling, the judge makes a ruling, we go home, the judge makes a ruling, and then you get something in the mail. This is how it works here in Arizona that says what happened. And so I'm reading through the court document, scared to death, shaking, nervous inside. And I'm like, and I read through it again, And I'm like, and I read through it again, and every single thing that I asked for and then some was in that document. And it wasn't because I tried to control. It was because I let go. So that's my point about that, you guys. Surrender and let go. Paths are not a straight line. This is really important to understand. Our paths are not linear, okay? Especially if we're trying to manifest a dream career, an amazing relationship, or just sometimes, or lots of wealth. Sometimes it's not linear. Yes, you can have a massive windfall. That's about as linear as it can get if you can get into the vibrational alignment of attracting a massive windfall, okay? But most of the time, it's not linear. So Mike Dooley talks about this. He says it's like setting the GPS in our car. So we set the GPS, we want to go to that place, okay? And we list a place. But then what happens, we push go, we put the car in gear, and then it goes go left. Well, we know we're supposed to be going east, but it says go north. We're like, well, why am I going north? And then all of a sudden, it has you go east a little bit, and then you're going south. And then you're going east a little bit. And then all of a sudden, there's a circle thing. You know, those roundabouts. And you're like, what am I doing? We start to freak out, and then we want to start to control. We want to control. Well, I know it's east, so I'm just going to do that. And next thing you know, we drive east, and there's this massive mountain range, and we can't get to where we're needing to go. We have to backtrack and go around, blah, 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 because we tried to control. So the point is that relinquishing control, knowing where you're going, knowing your end goal, all right, and then letting go. Don't muddy the waters. Let God and universe do for you what you can't do for you, okay? Because we're only limited, like I said, with these teeny tiny brains. So I'm going to close this down, you guys, with the tools that I mentioned. Some of them I've already mentioned, but I'll just do a quick recap on that. Tool A that I was going to mention is the 1 to 4 minutes of creative visualization combined with an elevated emotion, okay? Picture yourself in that space, what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like. Drive around in your car as if. Walk through the mall as if you're already that. You want to be a New York Times bestseller? It's just an easy one, or have a massive bank account, or drive with this car, have that love of your life. Walk around as if it's already here. You got to let go of the how, okay? We can't control the how, and it's not always a straight line. Sometimes you go to this thing, you learn something there, you meet Barbara, who knows Bob, who takes you over and gives you this book, and then the book, right? It's not a straight line, but ask and it is given. You're just going to be GPSed to it, okay? 1 to 4 minutes of creative visualization. Boom. Another thing that I do is I fall asleep with a gratitude list in my head. And I don't have a specified list. I lay there in bed and I make it up as I go. For some reason, the first one is always I'm grateful for my, excuse me, I'm burping. I'm grateful for my bed. Okay, I'm grateful for my bed. And I feel how much just gratitude how I am for my bed, okay? And then it goes off from there. And I could be grateful for, finding the cat food that makes my kitty not throw up. It's anything, wherever my brain goes, and I just feel gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. That's another one. B is act and feel as if you already have it. I just talked to you guys about that a few minutes ago. We cannot manifest specific people, okay? You cannot control other people's outcomes. We can send good vibes, right? We can send we can send people loving vibes. That's why people can help heal people. There's all kinds of stuff about that with Dr. Joe Dispenza again, who's measured all of this with scientific things, scientific devices, where you can actually, many people surrounding somebody sending love to their injury or wound or disease or what can help heal the disease. So that is a thing, but we can't impose upon people's free will. You need to be mine. I'm imposing upon your free will. Not going to happen. Okay? Which brings me to the next one, C, which is I want this or something better. So my career as teaching people, that's really all I know that I do is I teach people things, okay? I don't know where I really wanted this to go. So I would conjure up some things in my mind like, that sounds good, or something better, because I didn't know what options there is. Okay, I didn't know that. I don't know all the jobs. I don't know all the resources. I don't know all the people. I don't know anything, but I know how I want this to look for me. And so I say, this is how I want it to look and feel, God. Impress me. Okay, impress me. This is what I want to do. Okay, scripting and vision boarding. Now, we haven't talked about that. And I'm not against those things. I just don't do them. I have scripted. I'll script out loud sometimes with my husband where we kind of volley back and forth about what we have now. But it's not what we actually have now. It's what we have now, as if, right? And we'll script back and forth about those type of things. I also do this. If I go to relationships, that's hysterical. If I go to a restaurant and it's got like a kind of a vibe to it, I will say to my family, I'm like, where are we at right now in the world? And they're like, this is giving off like the Florida Keys vibe. This is giving off Italy. This is giving off Scotland. And I will act as if I'm in those places, because one of my dreams and desires is to travel the world. And I want to get this, you guys, not just travel the world. I want to travel the world and be strong and able-bodied so I can walk across the moors in Scotland, so I can go up the steps of these huge castles that I want to, you see what I'm saying? Like, I want like the feeling of strength while I'm doing this. I don't want to do it when I'm 80 and I can barely walk or someone's going to push me, right? I also want to do it. I have a little bit of claustrophobia. I don't want to sit in the back of a plane with my knees crunched in for 8-10 hours. I want to be in business class where I can actually lay down and go to sleep and check out. Okay, so I'm talking about that and scripting these things. That means, and you can Google these terms, you guys, they're everywhere. I know scripting is on YouTube as well, where you write up how you want it to look, how you want it to feel, or you verbalize it. All right, so scripting, vision board. Most of us know what vision boards are by now. You make the pictures, you put them on the board, and then you look at them. And I think it's just a way of helping people to connect with things. My husband, before he even owned a plot of land in Mexico, he started building the model of a house before he even had the land or the money of the house that he wanted. He might have had the land. Anyway, he was building them. I didn't have the money. I know that for sure. A model of his ideal beach house in Mexico. And guess what? He's got it. It's exactly that. Like I remember one time seeing, I go, what's this? He goes, oh, that's the model I built of my beach house. And I was like, he vision boarded that shit, but he did it in 3D. He literally did it in 3D. He built it. And he even has on it, he had sand from the beach in front of his lot. Okay? Or from the lot. So it's the whole thing has sand all over it. So that he's getting into the field. Guess what? He got it. And I won't get into long and short of how the money happened. That was a whole nother thing that he manifested that he didn't even know he manifested, because in the beginning of this, I talked about we manifest when we're naive. We can do it a lot when we're naive. Yeah, he was a naive manifestor, and he manifested the money he needed to build that house. There's that. Okay. Watch for driftwood / what I call pelicans. And I called it pelicans before I heard the term driftwood, but driftwood is now widely popular. So what does that mean? Okay. When we get close to shore, if we've been out floating at sea and we start to get close to shore, you can tell you're close to shore even before you see the shore, because there's going to be birds. Okay? If you start to see birds, you know land is nearby. Okay? So same thing is true with driftwood. You will start to see wood or some stuff in the water. That means you're getting close to land / your goal, your dream, your desire. So pay attention to the things, the little things that come in that are driftwood / birds or pelicans, as I used to call it before I heard driftwood. I'll just say driftwood from here on out. Okay? And when those things happen, like, it's funny when things like that happen and I'm like, yeah, that's driftwood. That is just a sign. It's a sign that you're getting close, that you're on the right vibrational frequency. So say to yourself, okay, I'm on the right frequency right now, and know it. Just know that you're on the right frequency. Okay? So pay attention to those things and know that you're lining up. Also, as equally, pay attention to contrast without judgment. If contrast comes your way, there you go again. If contrast, you're getting an experience that you don't like, okay, that's the opposite of what you're trying to manifest, then just go, okay, I'm seeing that. That means somehow, some way I'm an energetic match to this. I'm going to work to be the energetic match of its opposite. All right. And the last thing I just talked about at length, which was focus on gratitude and saying thank you in advance. Thank you, God, for leading me through this health thing. Thank you, God, for, full health and healing. Thank you, God, for, the meeting the right people along my path. Thank you, God, for this partner that is going to make me feel safe and secure and protected and respected and loved and honored and cherished. Thank you, God. Being thankful in advance is such a powerful, powerful prayer. Even just the prayer, like I'm doing this the whole time, even just the prayer, thank you. Because that's just a general feeling of gratitude. And again, gratitude is the highest level of vibration that we can be in. All right, you guys, I have talked your all's ears off, but I really hope that you got a lot of inspiration from this today, and hopefully that you're, I can listen to anything on law of attraction. That's why when I was going to make this today, I was like, oh, should you have, certain points to stay in an order and this and that? I'm like, no, because LOA savvy people will just listen to LOA savvy stuff because it ignites us. It ignites us. And that is why I do listen to lots of LOA, law of attraction, LOA coaches, because they inspire me. They remind me of things that I maybe have forgotten about, or especially if I get myself into a little funk, because that can happen. If I get myself into a little funk, I'll go put on something that's LOA savvy, and I'm like, oh yeah, Kristen, you remember that, and I'll pull myself out of it, okay? Because if we have free will, and we have the choice to remain in any place that we want to be in. God does not impose upon us. So we can choose to remain grouchy and negative, and nothing ever works out for us, and defeated, and all of those things. We can choose that. Or we can choose faith and abundance, and that everything is always working out for us. That's something I wanted to tell you guys. See how that came to me? I was thinking about that before I left the house. I didn't write it down. One of Andy Dooley's quotes that he coined was, everything is always working out for me. Think about it. Everything is always working out for me. It may not be where it is right now, but you are where you are right now. Okay? Because everything worked out for you. You're right here. And it can work out for you even better. I mean, Dr. Phil once said, get excited about your life. Because there was a commercial here in Phoenix that would run, pop up every once in a while. And he'd go, that was part of the commercial, was get excited about your life. And I love that they put that on there, because I thought, isn't that the truth? Get excited about your life. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 18. I don't care if you're 75. I don't care how old, 80. I don't care how old you are. Get excited about your life. You have something to do here. And the universe is abundant. And anything that you want to experience, you can experience. Now, I always say this too, because I shouldn't have to say this, but I do. Sip real quick. Because some people like to say, anything? Anything? Yeah, anything. But within reason. Like, it's got to be something that you truly, truly dream of. Like, it's exciting for you. Like, I can't say all 5'2" of me that I want to be an NBA basketball player at my age. I'm going to say, oh, really? I can be an NBA basketball player at my age? No. Right? You see what I'm saying, you guys? That's not even possible. All right? But I don't really want it. So you can have anything that you really, truly want to experience. And here's another little fun fact. It's a theory that I have. Not a theory. I think I've heard this before. Those dreams, no, this is not a theory. This is, yeah. Those dreams that you have were put into your heart by God. You came here already equipped with everything you need to achieve what you want, or attract or have that experience of what you want. All of us. Every single one of us. All we're doing is removing the blocks, because we're all humans, of all the things that our ego and our fear has told us. So when you remove the blocks to that thing, remember, you're not dreaming this up. This isn't become your dream because someone told you it had to be, all right? Otherwise, it's not your dream. But if you really go within and say, what is my ultimate dream? Robin Sharma was I don't remember what he did. He's a speaker in the world too. But I think he was, I just don't hold on to this type of information, you guys, but I think he was like a lawyer. And he was like high paying, he was doing all the things. And he decided that he wanted to teach and write books. And his first book is called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And that was his dream. So he had all the money and probably the chicks and the stuff and the house and the this, but his dream was something else. Do you see what I'm saying, you guys? And now he's doing that. So it's got to be the true dream. So if you're unsure, get into your mind what your dreams are. Start asking, well, I don't know what I want. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're a little jacked up, and that's okay. Sometimes we're not sure how it's going to look. But Mike Dooley says this, big picture it. He says big, broad brush strokes, amazing career, wealth and abundance, friends and family, laughter, joy, travel, happiness, those type of things. He says to broad brush stroke it, all right, until you know what it's really going to look like for you. Okay. All right, you guys. Oh my gosh, I just looked up and the timer said 111.11. Right when I was saying, okay, I'm going to sign up. So I'm going to take that as a sign. Thank you to all of you who stayed and who listened, and to everybody who's flipped in and out during this. I know it's a long one, but man, if you need that inspiration, these long ones help, because sometimes I just pop that stuff on my ears and I walk or I hike and I drink it up. So hopefully you guys got a lot out of this today. And if you're listening on the rerun or after we hang up here, if you wouldn't mind giving me a little like if you haven't already, and a comment, or to share with someone that you think would benefit from this. And if you're new here, to subscribe and to turn on notifications. I do lives probably about once a week. They are non-scheduled because I flow from inspiration, and that's the way I do it. So hopefully you guys catch me on my next live. Otherwise, you can listen to the replay. All right, you guys. Thanks for being here. So much love to all of you. I'm going to see if I can ever click on, if it has a setting that tells me. No, it doesn't show me who's in the room unless you guys tell me. Scott! Hi, Scott. Thank you. Have a wonderful afternoon as well. I love when you guys do that. All right. Bye, everybody. Peace.